Thank you for being here, for being present in the class. Whether you do this online or whether you see this later on YouTube, it doesn't matter. It is really great to be present here with you. And in the One Consciousness class, an online healing class connected to the chapters that are freely being given by Acropolis Books. And it just gives a bit of structure to these classes, and that's why we use them. And they're so nice to read and look so good. And what's in there is so, it's so great to work with. So that's why we join here to work with the material, to do the work that is actually behind all of this. And that is not connected to words or thoughts, but it is connected to what is lying beyond that. And so today is a very interesting chapter, Get Thee Hence, Satan. It's a very well-known expression, and it's always differently interpreted. And Joel uses this as a title in the book Realization of Oneness. And he's actually not directly doing that himself. So the book was made after his passing. So it was connected to talks that he did. So the basic title is probably given by the publisher itself. But anyway, it's great to work with this because it is included in the text, as you know. So these texts are actually the words that Joel received when he was teaching in a class in San Diego, in Chicago. It was all put together as a book, and you can see that also at the end of the chapter where that is being elaborated. See, the words, it's all beyond that. So that's so great. When we come together, it is never to do with the literal text. We use the text, but in a whole different way. So that's the same as what comes up now for me is like to share with you the idea of actually the whole process that you're going through in your spiritual development is one of first you entertain ideas, like you hear some concept, you read some books of Joel, or maybe some text, or from whatever teacher, and it does something with you. You recognize like, oh, there's something in there for me. Wait a minute, it's interesting. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it's about, but it gets my attention. And so you start to entertain the ideas that are being presented here as you develop some trust and actually trusting the words that are given you. And so after a while, you discover like, oh, this really feels good. Like these thoughts really feel good to me. When I read them, it's like, yeah, you want to keep them close to you. And so that's still like considering or letting the ideas come closer to you. And so a next step in building that trust in what is actually being given is say seriously entertaining these ideas, and see that's you start to contemplate them, you start to ponder them, but also to go to the depths of them, to really feel them for what they say, or even come to the edge of it and have it be revealed to you what it means, what it says. And so you actually start to discover too that when you share these words or start to speak these words, that they actually do something with you. They confirm the certainty in you as you start to share them. So you can call that teaching, or you start to demonstrate that. So then another step in that is to actually hear what's being said, and to not only entertain the ideas, but start to apply them. And you start to live by them. That goes so much deeper. Like you start to live by them, not with what you think about them, but what they show you that it means. Like I and my Father are one is just one phrase that you keep close to your heart. It's like, I am my Father one. That's so great to meditate on it or take it with you when you become still. But then to live from it is also bringing it into expression, and no matter where you go and no matter what is going on and no matter what appears to be tempting you to believe different than your core whole thought that you carry with you. So this is like a short version of the process that you can find yourself in. And like we all go through these phases. So I'm really inviting you to get to the point where you actually start to apply what's being shared. If you feel that's the thing for you, like you feel certain about it, that you can apply it, and the application of it is then to really use it in your daily experience of yourself, because it is all so incredibly practical. So, and that's with this chapter the same. It's like with this chapter, there's like amazing idea that there's such thing as a temptation. And the temptation, like the devil, was never meant to be an opposition to God. No, it is more like an idea of temptation, of believing something that is actually not there, but appears to have power. So it's more connected to the idea of an appearance. So that is what we're going to use in this class as an say in development of our trust in what's been given by Joel and what we receive in this moment that we are together with only one purpose, and that is basically to let what is be, and not disturb that at all. So to receive basically what is given in this moment, and receive that together in this new light that's been given to us by coming together, by having that purpose together. Okay, so today's questions, because I start to really do these classes really methodical for some reason. Everyone is still welcome to join in. If you want to enter into the class, you're still welcome, of course. Okay, so the questions that I'm looking at today with you is this: where is evil located? What is a proper response when you perceive evil or temptation? What is the biggest temptation? And what is the nature of evil? Can God help to change discords? How is healing work accomplished? So these are just 6 questions that I don't know if we'll make it to get to an answer altogether, but we'll see where we end up. So another part of this class is a meditation that we will put at the end to to really calm down even deeper on a deeper level, and then giving say there are words that are being given for the meditation that you can start to apply if you really let them come to you and start to demonstrate them. So that is the assignment connected to the meditations. Like, okay, let's get into our consciousness. Like, how is that working to apply an actual whole idea? So that is pretty exciting altogether. Yeah, let's start with the first question, and that is, where's evil located? And I that question came up. I can read a bit of text, but first I want to ask you something. Where do you think that evil is located? Like if I look back at how it was for me, it's like the ideas that I held about myself were not really like very friendly, or no, I knew that I was lying to someone, or I was doing this or that, or like I had an idea that evil was an integral part of my being, so to speak. I really thought that was all part of me, and by going through a lot of healing work, by letting new ideas come to me, and also being born over and over and over again into my new sense of being, I got rid of that idea, and that made a lot of a difference. So you might think of yourself that evil is inside of you, that if anyone would see that, would be terrified. If you that can be a thought of yourself. I had that idea. I walked around with that for a long time. So that has an incredible impact on how you walk around. So you'll keep things private for yourself and think that nobody else knows about it, and doing all kinds of you apply all kinds of mechanisms not to let anyone come close to you, in fact, because you're afraid that you're going to be caught in that sense. So, and then the evil that you actually think is inside of you, you start to project it outwards, and see that evil is coming back to you in the form of someone else. If you know what I'm saying, it's like you literally project it outwards because you're not able to accept the idea for yourself that there's nothing to be afraid of, or that there's no evil in you at all. So when your fear makes it that you think that you have to put these ideas outside of yourself. And so a lot of healing work can happen in this phase in which you start to recognize, oh my God, I and my Father are one. The things I'm thinking about myself are just ideas I hold about myself. They have no reality. It's literally only my self-image. And that self-image is something that I created and no one else. So it has no value, and it doesn't determine who I am. So the great step after that then is, if you can free yourself from these ideas that you hold about yourself, then you can start to breathe deeply and enjoy the freedom that is connected to your true being, instead of the ideas that you held about yourself. So Joel says it in this way, and it's not directly that he says it. So let me see. Oh yeah, here we go. It took a really great mystic to discover the secret of impersonal evil and devise the name devil or Satan for it. This devil or Satan, as it was first conceived, did not mean an opponent to God. It had no such meaning at all. Instead, it meant something in the nature of a tempter, not a power or a person, but a tempter offering temptation. The evil is never in us. It is the tempter that tempts us into sin, disease, death, disaster, lack, limitation. And this tempter should be recognized at all times as the impersonal source of evil. See, Jesus was in the. He says this in this chapter too. It's like Jesus was in the desert, and after so many days of fasting, 40 days of fasting, the devil came to tempt him, and he got like two questions of him, and after that. Jesus said to him, "Get thee hence, Satan." And after that, basically, you never hear anything about Satan anymore. So it's like, if you see the temptation for what it is, if you really see it for what it is, then it dissolves. And that's what Joel describes too. So for then on, what do we hear about Satan as far as the master is concerned? He does not appear anymore. He seems to have faded out right there and then. With that, get thee hence, Satan. Satan is no more. The master is alone with God, consciously one with God, the victor, the full dominion. But the tempter, the evil, is gone. The temptation is gone. Okay, so it's good to realize, like, with this idea of evil or tempter, it is like, well, this is going on all day long. In fact, you always have a choice to, what am I going to decide, what am I going to take for real, and that comes back to you. So going back a little bit, it is, if you stay with your practice of becoming still and starting your day right with some quiet time and letting true ideas affect you, then you start to feel more certain in your true sense of self, and that prevents you, literally, like it is as if you have a protection, protections field around you. Like, then everything is a lot easier. If you think like, oh, I don't need that, I can figure this out myself, or I know already what to do, or anything like that, you'll see that that does not work, and it becomes intense and difficult, and you start to doubt, and all of that temptation is being like activated. And it is not something personal against you, or it's not that God is tempting you or that the devil is tempting you. No, it is really like you allow a space in your mind for the questions or the doubt to come up, and take you with it, and that can be pretty hard, and it can look really like a reality to you. That is not so difficult. Everyone has experiences like that. So know that there's no continuity in all of that, that it is not as fixed as it looks. It is not that what you see is like crystallized reality or something. No, it is just, and like Joel says this many times too, is like, it is not an occasion, it's an actual appearance. Just like I said with the projections, like you project it outwards, it comes back to you, and now you think something is attacking you. So, when it is such freeing idea, isn't it, that you can see that the appearance is something that appears to be there. With the way that you're looking now, you see that something is going on that you don't want, or that is really like a temptation to you to see it that way. But then know that beyond all of that, like, there's no continuity in it. But beyond all of that, beyond your words and thoughts and appearances, there's always the true sense of self. There's always that which is. And to get in touch with that, it is just like you allow your ideas to be given up. Like you allow, you literally give up the ideas that you hold about what everything is for and how it's supposed to look and what you think is going on. And so you come with your open mind, literally, you come to your father and go within and say like, hey, there has to be another way of looking at this. I want to see this in a whole different way, because what I'm seeing now seems to like a confirm an idea I hold about myself, but I don't want to hold on to that anymore. I have no need of that whatsoever. So then there's an opportunity for you to come into a different experience of yourself. And that is always with you. That's the great thing, that's your certainty. So now, coming back to what I said in the beginning of the class, is like you start to apply ideas, you start to apply what you have received for yourself. So the more certainty that is built in you to rely on this, the more you will see that. And if you don't see that, then you have just an opportunity to forgive yourself. Like, oh my God, I still don't believe it. I can. What am I supposed to do now? It's like, okay, you can just forgive yourself, literally, that is happening. It doesn't take away that your certainty is with you, and that you can still ask for it, and you can even ask for the help and the willingness to ask for all of this. Like, you have so much help in coming to know who you really are, that anything that you literally ask for is going to be heard. It's like it's not lost. No, you have an opportunity to have a different experience of yourself all the time. So nothing is fixed that you see, nothing is determined, nothing is, no, it's completely freely given to you to perceive the purpose of the universe, no matter where you are. Okay, so let me see if I got another question. Okay. Joel says something about the biggest temptation, and I'll read that to you. The biggest temptation that will ever come to us is to believe that one person is good and another evil, whereas no one is good and no one is evil. No human being in his humanhood can ever truly say that he is spiritual. To claim spirituality as a personal possession is egotism at its heights. What did you just say? To claim spirituality as a personal possession is egotism at its height. No one is spiritual, no one is perfect, and no one is evil. God is spirit, and only God is perfect. And evil is impersonal error. So the biggest temptation that will ever come to us is the idea that you think there's such thing as a good and a bad person, like that there are more developed persons and more less developed persons, good persons and bad persons, like there's special persons and there's yeah, you name all the terms for that. Like none of that is so. So there's only one of us, like there's only one of us. So a comparison is literally like the whole world seems to be based on differences. If you see your world through the eyes of your humanhood, like comparison is a real thing of the ego, so to speak. Like comparison, good and bad, beautiful, not beautiful, a terrible person, a good person, all of that is a distinction made by an idea that does not exist. So it is like the differences between that are just not there. So that means also that there's no one special in this on the scene. There's no one special. There are no idols on the scene. So that means what is, and what you are is all you are. It's like you don't have to be better, you don't have to work on yourself to become a better version of yourself. No, who you truly are is perfect in itself, because it's like completely in communication with perfection. So we can skip all these ideas. It's amazing, isn't it? We can let go of them, all the ideas that we hold about this and that, about beautiful, not beautiful, about successful, not successful. See, and here we come into the field of applying these ideas. It's like you apply the idea. It's like there's no difference between good and bad. Like there's no such thing as a duality. So that means that all the energy that you put in there, all the attention and focus that you put on ideas like that, is basically still sustaining yourself in a human frame of reference. So in that frame of reference is not helping you at all to come into like an experience of what everything is. So it's preventing you, because it seems like the chatterbox seems to be like the chatterbox in your mind seems to be like the main entertainer on the scene. Like you keep yourself entertained with ideas that are shared by your mind, ideas that you hold about everything, and that you are engaging and using in your humanhood. And there's no accident that you do that. It's like, apparently you need still the safety of that. Like, if you would let go of your human ideas and allow a different idea to come to you, that might still feel scary to you. So in the terms of an learning curve, like the idea of applying these ideas is still, can still be a scary thing for you. So all of this then is what you recognize has to do with the undoing of fear, of letting these ideas go, as long as you don't need them anymore for your safety. As soon as you discover your true safety, then you see that parts of it will just, parts of what you thought before will just disappear, will just evaporate, or however you want to term that. It's like you don't need them any longer, they will just fall away. Yeah, so we start to communicate. We start to come into the silence of this moment, like where we communicate naturally. So that's great. You know, it's like, yeah, we don't need that many words to communicate. So that's so great. So you let go of your ideas for just a moment and you come into a meditative state. And that's where we are now. It's like immediately you feel like, oh, the idea of time has just gone. And I don't really am concerned about anything right now. Like, I don't even know what I'm thinking right now, but I still, yeah, I'm very happy to be here. I'm very happy to hear what's being shared. See, I don't even know what question I was using. That's great. So thank you so much for being present here with me in this class, and we'll continue with one other question. Okay, so what is the nature of evil was also one of the questions. What is the nature of evil? Joel says this: the biggest temptation that will, sorry, for our purpose, we use terms such as devil, carnal mind, hypnotism, mesmerism. As a matter of fact, one of the best words to use in describing evil is the word appearance. Just as an illusion in the desert is not a thing or an entity, but an appearance, so the evils that present themselves to us are not real. They have no identity, they have no substance, and they have no law. We may therefore look upon them as appearances. So that's what we were talking about before, but it's still, you know, it's a great realization, basically, because imagine that that evil would be fixed or a real thing. Like, no, that you would never get rid of it. No, you have to see it literally for what it is. It is an appearance. It is not an occasion. It is not a substance. It's not a person. It is not. No, it's an idea. You know, it's an idea that you think that you see. So, in all these beautiful words for it, it's like mesmerism, illusion, and all of that keeps us pretty busy, doesn't it? It's like, it's amazing how much you're occupied with the idea of appearance. Like the whole world setup. If you turn on the news, you get an overload of ideas that are just not real. And you say sail through it on this big storm in your little boat, and the waves are getting up pretty high sometimes. It's amazing. So to recognize that you're safe within yourself, and despite all the waves that are around you, all the temptations to think that you will be completely lost on the ocean, um, brings you back to yourself, gives you the opportunity to come into a real private, not really private, but a totally intimate place inside yourself, where you can see all this dissolve literally. So the more ideas you let go of and see disappear, the more you come into your certainty about yourself, like what is true about you. Wow. Wow, that's great. Okay, so just moving on. And it's not that I have to do all these questions, I just use them as a bit of support in the of structure. Oh yeah, this is a nice one I want to talk about too. Like, can God help to change discords? Joel says, when we are faced with discords, inharmonies, unhappiness, lack, and limitation, let us not go to God to try to get God to change these discords. Let us turn away from these discords and look right out into the world and realize this is but a part of the universal mesmerism, trying to convince me that God is not on the field, that God is not my life and being, trying to convince me there are two powers on earth. But I know better. I know that there cannot be an infinite God and evil power. So that's, of course, another continuation of where we already were looking at. It's like, see, it is really about applying the ideas in this class. How am I supposed to apply? How am I supposed to see all this in a whole new light? Because there seems to be so much information coming to us, say, confirming the opposite of what I'm actually sharing here. And now what am I supposed to do with that? So, and really it is like the only way to get out of that is to not confirm it inside yourself, to not bring the past into this moment, to let go, literally to bring your mind in a state of letting go. And that means letting go, not entertaining ideas, not having visions about how the future will be, not thinking that it makes a difference whose president it's going to be, or not being concerned with the things that keep the world, so to speak, busy, or what seems to be a temptation to keep yourself occupied with. It doesn't mean that you don't watch the news. You watch the news if you want, but you're not going to entertain ideas about it. And that's quite an exercise because of all the information that's coming to us. It's quite an exercise. So you can confirm it's like, I look at it and see it as images. It's like literally, there's only your little screen. Maybe it's your cell phone, or maybe it's your smartphone, or maybe it's your tablet, or who knows what it is that you're looking at. It is like all that is just like light reflections coming to you, basically always already over. It is just the past that you're watching. There's literally nothing that you can see right in this instant, even though it appears to be live television. So you're basically looking at something that's already over. And as you know, that everything that is over is not here anymore, it's just gone. So that makes it easier too to look at things and see how over it is. Like, how old is this idea? This is so done, this idea. So it keeps repeating, but at the same time, you know it's already over. So that is how that works. Like when I look at the television or any kind of device, it's like, oh my God, this is already over. It's amazing. It's amazing. Like this is so over. This is such an old idea, what we're trying to hold on to. And of course, it is Like you can see it and connect it to your emotions. Like you become angry or you become afraid about what you see and what you hear. See, and then it is so something from the past is actually going to scare you while it's already over and you have no idea what future will be there for you. So this is another theme that I'm entering into now, and I will keep it short this time. But it's like the continuity of time is not there. There's no, say, yesterday connected to tomorrow. No, there is no such thing as time in the first place, and that as a concept you can get. But to apply that in a direct experience of yourself is something that we really learn by coming more and more into the presence, by practicing the presence, and by really allowing ourselves to be completely open and new to enter into this present moment. And that is exactly what we're practicing, basically, by letting go of the ideas that we were so used to and being completely open to receive something new, a new idea, hearing a new idea in a completely different way, like we've never done before, is actually what we're going to do in this meditation that will follow. So I'm actually preparing you now to enter into this meditation. So this is so good to realize before you go into meditation. You leave the world for what it is. You drop your backpack of ideas about how things should be and what your concerns are. And you start to just sit down and listen and become open and become still inside yourself by breathing gently. So I would invite you to join me in this next meditation. And we do that by reading some of Joel's text that's been given in this chapter too. It's like really beautiful and it's comforting. And so I will repeat that during the meditation a couple of times. Maybe we do this for 10 minutes or so. I don't know exactly. And see what happens. So I invite you to just calm down, sit down, and relax for a moment, and do this meditation with me, and receive what's been given, and starting to apply that in your daily affairs and your daily moments of being in the middle of all kinds of temptations or not. All right, so let's start doing that. Joel says it this way: the overcoming has to be within us. The overcoming that has to take place within us is our recognition of the truth. And here's the sentences that I will repeat during the meditation. I will never leave you nor forsake you. If you go through the waters, you will not drown. And if you go through the fire, the flames will not kindle upon you. I will never leave you nor forsake you. I will never leave you nor forsake you. I will never leave you nor forsake you. Okay. Thank you so much for doing this with me and being here in this meditation. So now the next step can be that you decide, okay, I want to stay in this meditation, in this silence, and do it if you please. And I hope to see you soon.